Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Legal Wiki. Today I'm delighted and excited to have Ms. Dipti Khatri as our guest. Ms. Dipti Khatri is currently working with Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas as a senior associate. She got a pre-placement offer from CAM General Corporate team and she joined immediately after passing out of college. She also got a PPO from another top-tier law firm in her fourth year. Howsoever, she chose to join CAM. She has also been a gold medalist for her batch 2018 in her college. Also, she will be completing her 5 years in CAM. She has moved up her career from being an associate to a senior associate. Congratulations to her, and today she will be sharing her experience of working with a top-tier law firm in India. So before we begin, I would really like to thank you, Dipti, for accepting my invitation and taking out time from your busy schedule. I hope our conversation would provide insights to all the young lawyers who wants to get into law firms and can't figure out their way. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
Thank you, Surbi, for the warm introduction and inviting me to Legal Wiki.
A very warm welcome to you, Dipti. So with this, let's begin. Shall we?
Sure.
So my very first question to you, how did you manage to get into one of the India's top tier law firms? It must be a roller coaster ride for you. Can you please share your journey to our curious audience?
Thank you for this question, Surbi. As you mentioned, it was indeed a roller coaster ride, being a first generation lawyer. I got internship in Cyril Amarchand when I was in my fourth year. Before that, I had already gotten a PPO from another top tier law firm. However, I chose to come down to Bangalore and do internship in Cyril Amarchand as I had heard a lot about its work culture. So I vividly remember while I was doing my internship for 3 weeks, I was given an opportunity to work on RE, employment and general corporate matters. And there was a time when it was just 2 days before my end of the internship when I asked my senior if I can make presentation. And he was nice to accept my offer. I chose and presented on the topic which I was comfortable with. And by God's grace, it went on well. I believe the partners also liked the presentation. Thereafter, I had to wait for some time before I could get a PPO. So it was a long journey, but after graduation, I started with the law firm.
Okay, that's really amazing. Okay, meanwhile, I've also heard that you have worked with other top-notch law firms. Is that correct too? So
sure, yeah, that is correct. So I have worked with a couple of law firms. To name a few, I have worked with JSA, Trilegal, LKS, and Cyril Amarchand.
Amazing. Then you might be having an awesome experience, right, while working with law firms. So
yes.
So while working with them, what are the struggles or challenges you have faced while applying for all these internships, sir? Because I'm sure it would be very difficult for you. And how did you manage to get PPO and internships, sir, being from a private university?
Yeah, so there were a lot of struggles which I had to face through while getting through an internship. I had to apply well in advance, have to update my CV on a regular basis. I have to apply for internships, and also will have I used to adequately put in my cover letter, update my CV depending upon the organization which I'm applying for, follow up at a regular intervals. Most of the time it was a no answer, but somehow I managed to get through. I also used to connect through people over the LinkedIn. So these are a few of the steps which I used to keep on following to get to the top-notch law firms. Once I used to go through those law firms, I used to make sure that I am sincere and try to perform to the best of my capabilities.
So before applying for the internship, how long before you used to apply? Like 5 months before, 6 months?
So there were few internships which I used to apply in year advance. There were few which I used to apply for. Yes.
Oh
and
God.
there were few internships which I used to apply 6 months in advance. So it used to depend. Some of them used to say that you are not meeting my criteria. Why don't you apply it later? So we used to also apply it later. So it was a continuous process which I had to follow. And maybe I had a to-do list as well, where I had put in the law firms where I need to apply.
Oh my God, that's really, really amazing. You really put a lot of effort then. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to.
I can understand. So you might have heard, or there are a lot of rumors that NLUs paid more than in comparison to non-NLUs when you are in the same position. So is this really true?
I think this stands true for some of the organizations. Not naming them, but I think it also depends on the candidate on how they can sell themselves. I've seen some of the candidates being from a private university, but being paid similar to what the NLU students are being paid. At least in CAM, I have not faced such issues, but I would urge all the budding lawyers that they should never pay hit to people or work that discourages them. They should always look for their long run criteria.
So basically, it depends on how you can sell yourself. It does not matter
Correct.
that you're from which college. So there's a lot of myth that if you're from non-NLUs, you're from private universities or central universities, you cannot enter into top tier law firms. So this is actually what I consider as a myth. And here you are the example. Okay.
That's correct.
Yeah. So moving on to my next question. So now I can even ask this question because you are there and for like 5 years working in a law firm continuously. So we have heard that one can face a lot of struggle while working in a law firm, such as long working hours, that one cannot have a life beyond office. So what do you think? Is this a myth or a real concern?
I would say sometimes the transactions are such that you have to slog for long hours. You don't have any other choice because you're working with foreign clients and they have their own deliverables, and we are not directly facing it to the foreign clients. So it all depends on which transaction you are working for. However, I think if you are in a law firm, you need to have a discipline while at work and try to complete most of your work during the working hours. It is also important to prepare to-do lists, which I do on a daily basis, and not to be stressed about a specific task, because every day you will have thousands of things to complete and you will have a to-do list, but you can just prioritize on what to work first and what is the urgent deliverable. It is also important to check with your seniors on how to go about with it. You need to have a check on the data systems and the precedents so as to not slog for long hours, because there are multiple times we get work on a similar items, but people don't go back and check the precedents. I think at the beginning of the career, it is very important to be focused on whatever work has been assigned to you. And it is my personal belief that at the beginning of the career, we should not be focusing on work-life balance and work to the most of the abilities. In these situations, it becomes essential to be honest and transparent to the seniors whom you are reporting to. And I think you can just be in the law firm for a long years.
So initially, you have actually put a lot of efforts and you were not looking for your personal life. But now, after like spending 5 years, you can understand and you can have your own life, right? So initially,
Correct.
there's a bit struggle. Yeah. Forward, would like to ask you another twofold question. The first one is, what is the hierarchy in law firm? How does the law firm works? And the second would be, can you share your experience from being an associate to a senior associate? So what are the changes you faced when you were when you were associate? What was how things are different when now you are the senior associate? So what were your selling points?
So I think there are twofold questions. I'll give the answer to the first query on what is the hierarchy in the law firm. So the hierarchy in the law firm depends on the associate level. Then there's a senior associate level, principal associate, and then you become a partner. Partner also, there are different criteria. One is the salaried partner, and after a few years, you become an equity partner. Associate also, they have bifurcated into different levels before you jump onto a senior associate level. So this is a gradual process. To be honest, you have to think out of the box when given the particular task, because we are finally trying to convince the clients and provide them a practical solution to the problems. So you'll have to take a holistic approach when given a task. It might be difficult and daunting at the beginning, but I think gradually you get used to it. Once you become a senior associate, you need to start taking ownership of the matters. You have to deal with the client directly and also handhold on the transaction. Simultaneously, you need to start training your juniors, which is again a difficult task, but you, in a way, you also mentor someone and you know what are the points which you need to focus on. So I think these are few of the points which we need to take into consideration from becoming from an associate to senior associate. And once you become a senior associate, I think there's another level which you want to cross. So for that, we need to prepare ourselves. So there are a lot of challenges which I faced during this time. Was earlier I used to think, what is this culture? I wasn't too aware about it. But gradually you get used to it, and it all depends on the team which you are working for and how they are supporting you.
Correctly. So now you are looking forward for being a principal associate, right?
Not as of now, let's see, fingers crossed.
Yes. So, nowadays I'm interacting with a lot of students and they have a very basic question about the different practice area which is being carried on law firms and different opportunities available in law firms. Can you share a bit about the culture or opportunities, practice areas which is being carried on law firms? And also you can add up the new practice areas which are emerging nowadays.
So there are numerous practice areas which one can explore. I think as a law student, most of the times they are not about these areas. Once you get into the law firms, then only you get the idea that there are numerous and plethora of practice area which you can practice for. So to name a few, there's this taxation laws, IP, there's this technology and media, real estate, capital markets, etc. To know a bit about all these aspects, I think it becomes essential to undertake internships, to be abreast with the legal updates, participate in the moot court competition while you're in the college, and undertake few courses which are outside your domain. I had undertaken this NUJS course, while I was completing the 4th year. This actually helped me to understand the corporate and the securities law aspect, which I was unaware of and which was not taught in the law college. So new areas, coming down to the new practice areas which are emerging, I think there are 2 areas which I can see, at least in my law firm, which they are focusing upon. One is on corporate governance and one is on ESG. So there are different partners who have been hired just for this purpose. And they are listed companies because there's a lot of governance issues which are being taken by the listed companies. And the SEBI is also focusing on these aspects. So these are few points which we should be careful about.
Correct. So moving on, also for all the young lawyers, what are the extracurricular activities a law student should experience in their law school, which will actually land up in their top tier law firm? Because if you are from a private universities, because they are having a fear that when you are from NLUs, it would be very easy for them to get into top tier law firms. But when you are from non-NLUs, of course, it's a very, from day one, they are having a mindset that they'll have to put their 100% effort. Okay. And also, what are the extracurricular activities you have undertaken during your law school?
I think at the beginning of, so being from a private university, this myth should not be taken into consideration anymore, because in the first 2 years, you need to focus on everything. This is what I had done in my law school. At least from my experience, I used to participate or volunteer in all the extracurricular activities in my first 2 years, ranging from moot court to trial advocacy to parliamentary debate to paper presentation. However, thereafter, you need to realize what is something which you enjoy. So I think I enjoyed moot court competition and paper presentation, which I focused on later on. So I believe it is definitely important to develop skills and participate outside the classroom, which is required not only for you to build the resume, but also to become a better lawyer. Because once you're a lawyer, you need to develop soft skills as well as working on your techniques. So these are few things which needs to be taken into consideration while you're working or while you're in the law school.
Correct. So beyond your whatever you are studying in your just colleges would not help you out, but to gain the practical experience is also important. And so for like practical experience, you need to participate in different activities or just work in a law firm, or also like as you did the NUJS course, right? So this all things
Correct.
would add up to it. Okay. So also, if you're aware, nowadays law students are going for a different kind of paid courses to gain the practical experience, because they think that whatever being taught to them would not be enough, because that's a very bookish language, and they want to experience something else and start developing the drafting skills from their first year only. Okay, so for that they actually need to learn something, and for that they are going for a practical experience. So in your opinion, what do you think this will really help them out?
I think going for the different courses provides them a better opportunity to learn practical aspects, because most of the time you see that the law school doesn't only teach you the theoretical aspects and not the practical aspects. However, I believe that it is very important for them to also figure out what are the paid courses which they should go for. They should not only go for the paid courses for the sake of adding to their CVs. The students needs to figure out their interest areas, speak to the individuals who have done those courses, and also see what are the benefits they have reaped out of it. So, and not focus on all the courses. Maybe they can just focus on the capital market or securities law courses, which they think they are lacking and which is not being taught in the law school. So that definitely adds to their practical aspects.
Yeah. So basically, first of all, you need to get aware of what you actually need to just add up on your skills, and accordingly, as per that, you can just go for the another practical experience. Yeah.
Sure.
So coming down to my last question, any final piece of advice for law students who wants to enter into law firms?
I think while you are interning, you should never shy out and never go saying, okay, I don't know something. You need to go out of your comfort zone as a law student, because the senior associates or the associates who are giving you the task, they know what they are giving it to you and how much do you know about it. Be bold, work smart, and never get disheartened. And put yourself first, know your worth, and your path will find you one way or the other.
So true. So one last question, just I wanted to ask, is there any nepotism or politics goes in law firm?
See, they have a great alumni base as a NLU student, but I think at least what I have seen in our organization, you need to be best. If you are working to the best of your capabilities, if everyone can see it, I don't think there's a nepotism, there's no politics. These are all the myths which one has about the law firms, but it is just difficult as a private university to have your own alumni base. You need to adjust with them, but you need to do best. My simple ideology is to be the best, you have to work harder than the rest.
So true. So thank you for sharing this insightful information. And here we have come to the end of our session. Thank you once again, Dipti, for sharing this wonderful experience. It was my pleasure to have conversation with you. I hope all the insights which you have shared with us would benefit all the young lawyers. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to speak to you.